The other thing that happened this week, which is fundamentally annoying to me, you know, I don't know about you, but and I think you too, I think we all have become increasingly annoyed by how much we're being lied to by the media. When every newspaper makes a story, they have a need to amp up whatever that story is to make it more interesting to the general public to get their attention. And the thing is, since I am nowhere where that story happened, it's really hard for me to know whether a story is fake news or not. And that's the basic problem we have, all of us. We don't know to what extent the story that we're hearing is amped up in this direction or amped up in that direction. But we can be sure of one thing: it's being amped up. There are very few. I mean, if you're reading the New York Times, they have to make money. If you're reading in any other medium, they have to make money on some level. So the question is, what's true? So here's something that was published in the New York Times within the last week. Water temperature right for life at another star's planet. Now this is pretty exciting, and there is truth in that headline, but the headline conveys falsehood. Water was discovered. Temperature is right for life. Life at another star's planet. So the first wrong thing in there is the word life, okay? Because in fact, if you don't read it carefully, you are thinking, oh, we're on our way to finding life on other planets. We found the right temperature. We found water. It's all good. We're on our way. We're much further along the way than we ever have been before. It is true. There is something unique about what we discovered on this particular planet that wasn't discovered before. But it's not water. It's the fact that we can detect water. It's like suddenly your hearing aid kicks in and you can hear something that you couldn't hear before, okay? That doesn't mean it wasn't there before, okay? So the water that we discovered on this planet is just because our hearing aid kicked in at the right time and we were able to detect water. Water isn't spectacular. It's everywhere. The question is it frozen? Because if it's frozen, it's hard to make life forms that evolve inside of ice cubes. You would imagine. You would imagine that you need liquid water for life to evolve. But this doesn't say liquid water. You interpreted liquid water. How about if they simply said H2O? That would be true. Water implies liquid water, and they didn't discover liquid water. All they did is, for the first time in human history, detect water in the clouds of a planet that isn't as big as Jupiter. That's all they did. Every time they look at a Jupiter-like planet, they can detect water. This planet is smaller than a Jupiter-sized planet. It's an Earth-sized planet. And you go, oh, Earth-sized planet, that's good. I like that. We're getting closer to places where we could go and visit. Maybe there's life forming. But 8 times the mass of our planet, okay? Twice the radius of our planet. Chances are the clouds, they might be made of helium as well as water. The chances are that the water is up there at the stratosphere of this planet, like we have water in the stratosphere of ours. But whether there's water, and that's confirmed, there's water on that planet up there in the clouds. Question is it down on the ground where the little life forms are crawling around looking to see if they can evolve into something more spectacular that would amuse us? And that is not true. There isn't anything there's no indication of liquid water on the surface of the planet. What is true is that the planet's temperature is such that it's possible that there might be liquid water. Possible. Only that. Possible. So what I did here is I took this news article and everything that I've highlighted in purple, in pink, is basically designed to deceive you, and everything that I highlighted in yellow is true. But you're free to misinterpret the things that are in pink. In a tantalizing first, scientists have discovered water at a planet outside our solar system that has temperatures suitable for life. Right there, you're on a wave. You don't have to read the rest of the article. You know already what's true. But of course, none of it is true. Okay. They do say that it's water vapor in the atmosphere of the planet. That's the second sentence. Water vapor in the atmosphere of the planet. Then they lie, okay, with the third sentence. This so-called super-Earth is just the right distance from its star to conceivably harbor life. Conceivably is the key word here. Conceivably. Yes, if I ignored all the other things that are also not so good about it, I could conceive of the fact that this would harbor life. But the fact is, it's inconceivable that this can harbor life. And there are a number of reasons. The year on this planet, this Earth-sized planet, is 1 month. And why is the year 1 month? The reason is because it's the old contact lens lost under the street lamp effect. If you lose a contact lens, the best place to look for it is under the street lamp, even though it's most probably over there where you can't see it. Turns out that the contact lens in this case is planets, extrasolar planets. Indeed, not just extrasolar planets, because we find lots of them under the street lamp, but Earth-like extrasolar planets. And what would that be? It needs to go around, the sun needs to be far away, like our sun is far away, 93 million miles. Their sun isn't far away. So it's really close. What happens if you get really close to a dim star, because it's dim? Well, you say, oh, it's about the same thing. Close to dim is like far away from bright. Except for the fact that dim stars have a very, very bad, they have very bad manners. They blow up all the time. And blow up is the wrong word. Have flares that engulf the nearby planets in a bath of intense radiation that would kill anything on the planet because it's close to the sun. So these small suns, dim suns, are literally killing off anything that could be close. And not only that, but if you're close to a star, if you're too close to a star, not only do you experience this bath of unusual radiation, unusual in the sense that it's nothing like the radiation that our sun gives off, because our sun is literally quiescent compared to these red dwarf suns. But if you're really close, you get tidally locked, which means, have you noticed, you know anything that's tidally locked in our solar system? The moon is totally tidally locked. It keeps the same face to the sun, to the Earth, all the time. If you're close to a sun, that small sun, you get yourself tidally locked. So you don't rotate every 24 hours. And if our Earth stopped rotating, you know what would happen? Yeah, in 48 hours we'd all be dead, right? Because one side would be hot, one side would be freezing cold, and the only people who would continue to exist would be the few Aborigines living on the line between light and dark. I don't mean Aborigines, I mean the lucky people. So if you live on the terminator between light and dark, where it's always twilight, then you survive. But you can't evolve an entire ecosystem just living on the terminator of a planet, I don't think. So suitable, conceivably harboring life, conceivably, only in the mind of the person writing the newspaper article, not in the mind of scientists who take a dimmer view of this place being capable of harboring life. It is the only exoplanet known so far to both have water and temperatures needing for life. That's not true, because we find planets that are bigger than this, that have water and temperatures like that. The temperatures are up in the upper atmosphere. They're just not at the surface. Because even Jupiter, and this is cool, Jupiter, for all its majesty and size and everything else and all the crazy things it is, has temperatures suitable for harboring life as well as water. If you go high up in the Jupiter atmosphere, well, Jupiter is all atmosphere. Excuse me. There is no solid ground necessarily, or really far down. Jupiter is just a gas giant. And what is the gas giant made of? It's made up of hydrogen, mostly, and some helium and other things like oxygen. So guess what? Hydrogen and oxygen make water vapor. What do you think is circulating in the clouds of Jupiter? Water. Water. It's everywhere. The Jupiter is made up of a planet Earth's worth of water, if not 2 to 5 planets worth Earth's worth of water. So discovering water on Jupiter doesn't mean there's life. So that's why they don't mention it when they discover other planets that are Jupiter-sized that have life. It's when you find a smaller planet that is rocky, that supposedly does have a place where you can walk and evolve and literally come up from the sea, which hopefully lives there as well. A sea, you can crawl out of the sea, and you get yourself a civilization. If you can, that's why that planet looks good, because there might be land and there might be oceans. But then they say this is definitely not a second Earth. So the question they're pushing forward is a question of habitability. The question, see, you can make anything into a question. Any news item that they want to create your interest. Question: have aliens visited the Earth? Is a question that you will tune in to watch a 2-hour special in which the final answer is we don't know. Okay, because you can't prove the negative. So the question of habitability is something we cannot prove. We cannot prove it's not habitable. We can't prove it's habitable. Why am I reading this article? Okay, so I mean, now there are. So I'll stop my diatribe at this point. I subscribe, and also in this class, I think 2 other people in this class subscribe to a person that is a crazy loon of a wonderful scientist. This man, his name is Ethan Siegel, and he is as crazy looking in his appearance as he is perfectly accurate and wonderful in the way he talks about the science. And he talks about the science 2 or 3 times a week. So all I need to do, because I am a scientist, is look at Ethan Siegel's science articles, and I can read them, and there's not an ounce of hype in those articles. I mean, there's a little bit of hype in the titles, but he doesn't say things that are not true. In fact, this title is the title that I got this diatribe from, which is, not only didn't we find water on an Earth-like exoplanet, we can't even do that with current technology. So that's one more nail in the coffin. We can't do that.